People really meant good. When they say things that are not so cool, and you think, how could they say, remember, what if you thought they didn't really mean that? What if you really gave them the benefit of the doubt? That's not what they meant. What if your communication went to a different level? Because what happens is we operate out of love and we really care about other people more than our own concerns. Don't care about your own rank advancements. Don't care about where you are in the comp plan. Care about where they are. What's beneficial for them? And sometimes I do tell people, listen, where you place people has no bearing on me. It doesn't matter to me. I'm telling you how to do this because it's for your best interest. It's not for my best interest. And sometimes it's necessary to say that because not everybody's heard this teaching yet. Not everybody realizes that, that we really do mean it. We really do consider other people and their success before our own. And we've done it from the very get. Do you know that these comp plan, the way that it works, sometimes people get out of your pay levels, if you will, because there has to be breakage for the company to be solvent. It's just the way these comp plans are. And so there's people who we've traveled around, flown to Hawaii for, went over to this other location, spent hours or days with people that really financially didn't mean anything to us, but it means something to you. And so what we do, and we've done this from the get-go, it's not that we just do it now because we're making millions of dollars a year. That's not the case. We did it from the get-go. If you would treat your people as if they meant everything, because they do. They mean everything to God. He's not a discerner or respecter of persons. He sees and if we can see what's in people as they start to progress and they make the choices, because it is a choice. To be successful is a choice. To fail is a choice. Because you know what? Quitting is a choice. You have a choice. But if you have your foot in the water and you're not jumping in, you're emitting to people that that's your choice. That's what you're saying to people. People can read that, whether you say it or not. People know. If you've got an out, if you have an exit plan in your head, listen, this is something you can do part-time. Why would you ever stop sharing what we have with people when we're changing people's health, wealth, finances, spiritually, relationally, when you're putting people into an environment that can transform their lives? Why would you quit? Why would quitting be an option? But you see, if you're in your mind have an exit strategy, you think you're going to quit, or if it doesn't do this, and you've given yourself, well, by this time next year, if I'm not making this much money, or whatever the case may be, people sense that exit strategy. They sense that you're not fully committed. When you walk in a spirit of excellence, like when I listened to that recording of Lance and the marketplace ministry strategy and the whole thing about being at the top of your mountains and how it all came to pass and the supernatural events and an actual death experience of a man that had an encounter with God who spoke to him about the fact that, we're to be at the top of the mountains. Why is it that Al Jazreel Radio penetrates and does what it does for the enemy camp? Why isn't it that we do that? And so this concept, I was listening to it and I said, this is the truth. What if somebody that was sold out for Jesus was at the top of the political mountains? What if they were the president? What if they were the one that was at the top of the mountain of movies and media, broadcasting? What if it was the righteous message? What if it was that there is a plumb line? What if that message went out? When one crazy person can take prayer out of school, one crazy person, what can we do together for righteousness' sake? And so when you look at where we're at, I'm not surprised. The Lord did it. And he's looking for others to rise up, but yet to be also patient with ourselves. Be patient with yourself. When we came into Isagenix, we had 20 years background in the industry. We had 20 years background. So it's not something that you want to come in and think that there's not a growth. There's a growth curve. There's time. And depending upon where you're at in that growth curve may require for you to get to a point, because there are the ups and downs. There's the chiseling. There's that emery board effect that's going to put you in a place where, an iron sharpens iron. But what'll happen, it'll start to melt away the dross. And you will come out a rising, shining piece of gold in the light of the King's face. Imagine in the light of the King's face, we're able to do greatness. Because why? Somebody in you sees what people must understand is that people who don't know Jesus don't have the authority and the favor on them that people that do have. So if you don't know him yet, that's okay. You can ask. It's a very simple process. He stands at the door, it says, and he knocks. And he asks, he wants to come in. But let me just share this, because I had written a couple scriptures that I think are so important because it says in Jeremiah 23:11, which I have memorized, but I'll read just because I want to make sure. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. That his plans for you are so great that we are on the planet for a purpose. You didn't just show up by accident. There are no accidents on this planet. You are here on point. And when you realize that you're here on point and you're listening to this message on point right now, at this point in time in history, that's going to change not only your life, but the lives of your descendants and your descendants beyond. So your children, your children's children, your children's children's children, because you're making a declaration and a decree that you're not going to stand for poverty. You're not going to stand for lack. Your greatness. You are a daughter of the King of Kings. You are a son of the King of Kings, of God who created everything. And when we come into alignment with who he is and what his plans of our life are and where we're going for the Lord's purpose, because it's not by accident. Everything that you see, you in my house, or you see the stuff that people have, and it's all passing. None of it matters. I mean, it's great. I'm not going to say it's okay to be blessed because your Father in heaven loves you so much. I'm sure I oftentimes say, you might have heard me say before, that the Abraham, who was one of the wealthiest men, right? He probably had the best camels. He probably had the best, whatever he had at that point in time when he lived. He had the best of the best. He could have anything. But you know what? He knew he wasn't taking anything with him. It didn't have him. It wasn't his God. So when you realize, because you're empowered with the wealth, because that's what needs to happen to move things. I'm sitting in something right now that, we were instrumental to help this be here. Like as assistant. Why? Because the Lord has blessed us, so we're a blessing. We're blessed to be a blessing for people. Imagine being able to have that kind of freedom. To not only pick up and go and be able to do things with your family. Imagine being able to spend as much time as you want with the people you love the most. Really, seriously, what if that was your definition of success? To be able to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, as much as I want, and not have to worry about money. What if you didn't have to show up every day somewhere? What if you didn't have to drop your kids off at daycare, but you were in charge of their development? What if you were the one that was instilling your personal values and beliefs upon your children instead of sending them out for someone else to do that? What if you had that kind of freedom? If you wanted them in a private school, what if that's what you were able to do, is write a check? To have the kids say, I want to go to this Division I school, and be able to write a check. Not one, but two at the same time. That's just happened to us. What if we wanted to go to wherever and take everybody with us? We're able to do that. And it's not because we're great, but I do believe that there is something about that favor. And that's why last week I spoke to you about that favor backlash, because one of the favor backlashes that happens, that's very, most people understand and know about in the Bible, is the story of Daniel. That whole story is a favor backlash. Here's a guy that wouldn't bow to the enemy. He would only do the right thing. He stood as an example of what it takes to be bold, to know and not to waver. What if you were that way? What if you went into your place of work and you stood and you were able to say the name of Jesus Christ as Lord with authority and not be afraid? I mean, why is it that every other person can say whatever they want, but you're afraid? Why? That's by design, by the way, of the enemy, not by the design of God. We're to be empowered. And that's why I say that these calls, and if we start to do this more on a regular basis, we're live. It's the locking of the arms of the people to empower them, us, you, to go and become. Because Jesus said it. He says, greater things will you do than I did. What did Jesus do when he walked? He came, first of all, to die. Do you know, he came to die this gruesome death. Why? To give you and me freedom by calling upon the name of Jesus to be able to go into the presence of a holy God.